All right, so it's 11:05 Eastern, and we're ready to get started. Whoever is late is late. Anyway, so today we're going to be showing you, together with Alexei, how we automate our own operations and marketing. And for your information, again, we've been doing this thing since the company started, which was around 3 years ago. And the automations that we're using, they went through a number of evolutions to arrive where they are today. Some of them are newer, some of them are older, but I hope it will make sense. And yes, my name is Eugene. I'm a CEO and founder of Ability AI, and Alexei is our head of business development, who is working on a lot of this marketing-specific automations for us. So let's go. Exactly what we're going to talk about today. I want to cover a big sec, well, not big, but I want to cover a section with the main concepts that I need you to understand in order to get the full picture. It's not going to be too long, but it's going to be very important for you to actually understand and listen to that, because that will make a lot of sense afterwards, so that it didn't look like gibberish when we get to the actual demo and see how things are working. We'll describe the approach that we're using for building agents and building playbooks and processes that those agents are using in order to run. And then we will jump into the biggest section of this webinar, which is showing you in practice how our system with all of those agents looks and how they do things. So let's dive into that. I think that this is super simple, but one of the rather important diagrams that I would like you to understand with me. There are different layers at which we're building this agentic automations. And in order for that thing to work, you need to have all of them really. And it all starts with Trinity, which is our base layer, infrastructure layer for running agents. I'm not going to go too technical, but I'm going to say that this is basically the system that manages all sorts of infrastructure components, databases, Docker containers with agents, network connectivity, permissions, sharing, and all sorts of these other enterprise related requirements that you would need in order to run any large system, and especially run it in a controllable way. The next layer is, of course, agents themselves. You will see that further, we are mostly relying on Claude Code agents. Sometimes we use Gemini CLI, some other agents, but we are relying on those that are intelligence first and file system based. And I will talk about that in a moment. So the next level is just, okay, let's build some agents that can do something, even if this something is manual and needs to be triggered and needs to be controlled and needs to be observed on my local machine. And with the Claude Code, it's of course starting with the local machine, and only that we put it on Trinity. Now, the next layer is a very interesting one. I don't think we've talked about that publicly yet, but it's a level of playbooks. You all know what playbook is in a traditional business, and it's basically the same kind of idea behind it for the agents. So we have developed for ourselves a certain process in which we are working with agents, and as they mature, as we see more opportunities for autonomous work within those agents, we're packaging this autonomous work into playbooks, basically describing step by step what needs to be done, what are the limitations of the state management, what files it needs to read, how it needs to update from GitHub, and the checklist of what it needs to do at the end of the day to validate that this task has been executed. And these playbooks, they are becoming this sort of things on which we iterate to find the optimal playbook to execute something. Think of a process of, for example, creating an article for a blog or for personal post, something like that. This involves a lot of different steps. It involves collaborating with some other agents to get insights, then doing some research, then packaging it up into an article in the brand tone of voice and brand design, generating illustrations, and et cetera, et cetera. So once we package it into a playbook, which is basically a type of a skill for Claude Code, we can start iterating on it and improving it. So we're calling the skill, we're looking how it's working out. If it's not something that we like or we want to change it and improve that, we update the playbook itself. And once those playbooks are in a position to run autonomously or semi-autonomously, they're ready to be put on Trinity. So this is the moment when we take those agents that we've developed with the playbooks and put them on Trinity, and now they execute on our remote servers in an autonomous fashion or in semi-autonomous fashion if they need an approval. And this is where the last part only starts, because once we have all those agents within Trinity, we need to set up an orchestration, a sort of a corporate brain that can have all those agents work together and get insights from each other and give tasks to each other, and doing that in a coherent, meaningful way. So put that in your mind so far, that this is basically like 4 different layers that are built on top of each other, and they're impossible to build without the basis. The whole system wouldn't work. So why we chose Claude Code, first of all? Claude Code and similar tools, they're using sort of file-based system approach. And it's very convenient to work with that, because you know that all the work that this agent is doing in terms of the files on your computer are located in this particular folder. You're fine with that. Then if you add some version control through GitHub, or if you add some external MCP tools, it's getting more and more powerful, but it's still locked in the folder. However, if you give it its own computer, its own virtual space, its own sandbox, which is exactly what Trinity is doing, now we're talking about a completely different world. Now we have agents that are, for all intents and purposes, very similar to what you've heard about Clawbot and the rest of it. They own their own Docker image, Docker computer, within which they're doing their job, communicating with other agents, saving their state in the files, in the GitHub repository, controlling the versions, etc. Anyway, I will skip through the boring stuff. And this is just a demonstration of the owning the computer concept. Basically, every agent that I will be showing you that is running within Trinity, within our platform, is owning its own sandbox, its own computer. It can execute shell commands, it can execute software, it can install different software, and it has all the freedom within this particular computer. Now, so I mentioned to you that once we have some agents and we start to automate the process lifecycle, the playbook lifecycle, this is a demonstration of roughly how that happens. So we create a playbook manually with the help of a particular plugin that I will share with you if you guys are interested. But basically, we made like a marketplace, Claude Code marketplace, with a plugin that manages those playbooks. And we iterate on the playbook until we feel that the playbook is actually autonomously executable safely. And then we deploy it into Trinity, but we deploy it via a GitHub repository only. So basically, the connecting point for the agent that is running on my local machine and the agent that is running on production in Trinity is the GitHub repository version control, which gives me all the tools in order to see what has changed, validate, rollback, branch, and all sorts of other things. And once it ends up on Trinity, we can start scheduling autonomous operations, collaborating with other agents, running them manually, chatting with them, sharing between team members, and things like that. We'll get to that in a second. And one of the ways that I prefer to work with agents is through this twin agent approach, when I have a local agent running on my computer that is synchronized with the remote agent through the GitHub repository and with the MCP connection. And actually, to demonstrate this to you, this on the right is a Ruby agent that is running right now on my local computer. And this Ruby agent, as we will see later in the presentation, this is the content manager that takes us from the idea all the way through published and scheduled content across all the social media, and in the middle includes research and collaboration with others and video creation and other stuff. Very, very rich agent on its own and can do a lot of this stuff. But the way I work with that is I work with that locally. For example, I want to create an article, or I want to find viral replies, or I want to do some other thing. And once I want to synchronize with the remote version, I just call one command, which goes kind of in a package, to synchronize with the remote Trinity. So what happens is that it pushes kind of to GitHub and pulls from there. So yeah, sorry about a bit of a technical details. I'm reminded of the fact that I need to stay business oriented. But point here is, once we get to all those different agents running remotely, something new happens, something different happens. We start to be able to orchestrate those agents to work between each other and to actually create lasting business value. This is like a corporate brain, or visual representation of this corporate brain that I wanted to show you. And it has a couple of core components that you see inside of that. And those two core components, two core agents, one of them is Cornelius, which is a knowledge-based management agent that is helping us with decision-making and thinking process. And it's getting better every day by learning new insights and applying that to its own knowledge base. And if you're curious, This is roughly how this knowledge base looks like. This is just a visual representation of all the different things and how they're connected between each other within this knowledge base. And this is updated, of course, regularly based on the insights that Cornelius can find from the internet or that we give him. But that's just one side of it. The second side of that is the source of truth. So what is source of truth? Some 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, we have decided that we're going to have a company repository, which will become literally a source of truth for all the corporate documents. And by corporate documents, I mean our marketing strategy, our sales pipeline updates and states. Everything that we think of as true needs to end up over there. And now we got to the point when this is actually extremely useful because all the other agents that are running on Trinity are relying on this knowledge management layer, on the source of truth, and on Cornelius for thinking. And they are connected, they're talking to each other. So the logic stands. I want to show you very briefly Trinity right now, how that looks like, and we will switch to a more detailed view. But I just wanted to show you that here is the source of truth. Here's the actual agent that is running this repository. And here's Cornelius, that is the brain behind the operation. And all these other guys that we see around them are working with source of truth and working with Cornelius in order to accomplish their tasks. This is the orchestration layer that I mentioned in the beginning, this brain layer. So a couple of words about why we actually built Trinity, what was lacking over there, and why the design of Trinity actually fits our needs and fits our needs of our customers as well. So obviously, like these locally running agents are very difficult to scale or do anything with them really. They're not communicating with other agents that need to be there. They're not running their own schedules. We don't have observability and monitoring as well as guardrails, which is one of the most important things over there. And also, I personally got tired of keeping my laptop on because my agents were running and doing some stuff. So I needed somewhere to offload them to at the beginning of that. But later we ended up with this whole system that manages serious workloads. And the system is sovereign. What it means is that actually, surprisingly, sovereignty has different definitions across the industry a little bit, but I hope my explanation will make sense. I basically think that it's more effective to deploy these agents within my own infrastructure behind my own security perimeter. Like the Trinity system that I will be showing you is not accessible from the outside. It's only running within our own infra. And what that means is that I have full control over what is happening inside. And not just that, I also have full speed that I can go with. Like every time you're working with a traditional agentic SaaS solution, for example, there's a couple of things that are happening. You're limited by their speed of developing their agent. So you may have an idea, you may have what you want to accomplish, but if you're dependent on a SaaS solution, all you can do is to put an item in their roadmap and wait. In the sovereign infrastructure solution, you can actually start experimenting with that immediately and see if that impacts you or not, and if that helps you or not. But this level of experimentation and speed of changes, while it enables creative approaches and solutions, it needs to be safeguarded. That's why I make it sovereign, so that we didn't have these risks around exposing those agents to the world too much. Right, let's switch to something fun. I want to show you Trinity and how that actually works. You already sold this one. Let me do a little bit of explaining over here. I will turn off this tag clouds so they didn't confuse you, but every agent you're seeing here is an individual Docker container. It's basically its own computer, its own sandbox for the agent to operate. Every last one of them is associated with a GitHub repository. That's where the version control is happening. That's where the state management is happening. And every one of them is connected to Trinity MCP, which is the interface for it to talk to other agents that are either inside the Trinity itself, or they are even outside. For example, as I showed you this particular agent, Ruby, that is running over here locally, it is directly connected to Trinity. And from here, I can have Ruby internal on Trinity run create article. And let's just say, so it didn't take so much time because it's a long playbook, say hi. And what happens now is that it's going to go through the MCP server to this agent that we see over here. and trigger a task, and it will do something and come back with some sort of results. As you can see, it started blinking over here. We can go on the individual agent page and see the running execution that is happening right now. We can watch it live. We can do whatever else we'd like with that. Now, that's actually a good point for me in this little demo to show you a bit of how the interface looks like. So what we have over here, as you can see, we have a tab with tasks for the agent where we can run individual playbooks. For example, this find viral replies. That's a Twitter-related playbook that looks for viral replies. And yeah, it's pretty well developed on its own and finding good things for me over there. Although soon Twitter is shutting down the replies anyway, so no luck there. But you can chat with an agent. It's a regular kind of chat GPT style chat where you can just have a conversation. You don't have to go to the terminal and see all of that weird stuff over here. Let me actually hide it. Each agent has their own custom dashboard. What it means is that each agent, with you, of course, we make decisions on what kind of metrics we want to be monitoring for each of them. And they're monitored over time and updated over time as something changes. Now, again, the dashboard for each of the agents is a bit different. Not a bit, it's different. It's completely dependent on what the agent's purpose is. And if we go to schedules, this is where we control what tasks will be executed and when. And of course, like it's all the controls that you want to have are over here. But again, these schedules will only work if the automation is turned on for this particular agent. There's also functionality that's a bit more technical and involved on credential management, on skill management, and a couple of important things over here I wanted to highlight is, first of all, there's a team sharing, so I can share those agents with other team members and they can work with them. And also there is a public link possibility, which I started using recently for one of the agents, which allows to access this agent from external IP, but there is an authentication layer up front so that you know exactly who is chatting to the agent and have all audit trails. We have permission system, of course, in place where we have all the different. Basically, you can see the other agents in the system, and if this is selected, that means that our Ruby agent can have access to this other agent, which means that can talk to them if that's necessary. And there's a couple of other more involved features I don't want to dive into right now. I want to go back to dashboard and show you something else. This is our actual timeline of what's happening in the system. You can see it's pretty much living its own life. We can see individual executions of individual agents. Some of them are manual, some of them are automatic. And you can see these arrows indicating that agents were asking other agents for something to complete some work or to do some other thing. Now, at this point, I think I want to stop and pass the mic to Alexei to actually walk us through the functionality of two of the agents, specifically Ability Website Agent and the the Outbound agent. And yeah, show you how that part works. And then I will come back and show you a little more on Ruby, which is one of my favorites, and maybe on Cornelius as well. So let me stop sharing the screen and pass it over to Alexei.
Yeah. Thank you, Eugene. Thank you. That was really interesting. Yeah, at some point I understood what does word development means in the head of business development. I started to need to understand what is going on within the systems and sometimes build the systems my own. So at some points, and it's my point of view as well. So at some point we will need to understand how the systems works. It depends on the industry and the type of job to what extent we will need to know how to build the system, or there is always the companies that we can work with and who can build these things to the level of understanding. For now, I'll show some cool stuff that we have built for ourselves, and most of the things that we are building internally became appeared out of some problem or pain or something like that. So in our case, in case of the website, and we'll be talking about the website agent, we had a website built on Framer, and we had a person in the team who was updating the website page by page. And it took quite a while. So we always needed to create new content, new assets. We needed to understand what framework will work the best. We always needed to like create the copywriting, or like even when you just do a copy and paste from different AI models and agents, it always takes a lot of time. And there was a problem with that. I'm not talking about the SEO. So SEO is a separate part that is needed to be done with using external team or external specialists, or like having them inside of the team, and like having them as a full-time employee. Depends on the business size or so on. And yeah, we had several ideas how we can proceed and how we will fix how we can fix that. And one of the ideas was to find a way and wait until the framer as a service will like add an agent into their system. And this is the thing that Eugene was telling about. So we cannot rely on SaaS when they will implement something and sit and wait until the market is evolving and competitors are doing something and so on. So in this case, we would need to wait, and we decided so we will do it another way, and we will copy the website that we have on Framer and build it from scratch using Cursor and Claude Code and other agent systems out there. Part of the team were skeptical at the beginning. So if the systems are ready and if we can do that, but actually we started and it's really worked out for us. So I'll share the screen. This is the website that you see on the screen that we have built around a month ago from the scratch. And all of the elements in here, all of the pages, but now we have around 200 pages interconnected, cross-linked parts of the info, all additional parts as a pop-ups with some lead gathering and so on, some of the interface, some of the UI elements, animations, and so on. It's being built by AI agents by just telling him what to do in here. So this is just an example of the website, how it could look like, and what quality it could be we can get using the agents. We're not applying any like particular design skills, because like AI is getting better with design, but they are not actually in there, so we can do like a one-shot thing. That is why we are just using some external design libraries and so on. So this is like the example, and I'll tell you a bit more about how to make it work actually. First thing, we need to create a design systems, tone of voice, and connect this system to our knowledge base. As you mentioned, we have a source of truth knowledge base that has all of the information about our ICP, about our solutions that we are offering, about our case studies. And this is a living document where we have like when we have a new case study, is getting in here. And this agent is creating a separate web page for this case study using the additional information, using the template, the ROI, and what has been done in there. So, and I'll just show you the example how does it work and how we work with that. There are two ways of doing that. Like you can do this directly using Claude Code, as we usually do because it's faster. We already know how to work with it. Or we can use Trinity for it. So I have my own account in Trinity, and I have my own list of agents in here. And this is like the agent that is doing the stuff within our Ability website. We have connected some dashboards that is monitoring like our SEO health score, domain authority. It's pulling info from the Google Search Console and some additional information. And this dashboard is like is a fluid thing. We can put anything in here, connect any other external services and analytics and so on. And overall, the website is the thing, at my opinion, that will like be a point of connection of external agents and external businesses and so on when they will find your company online. They will go to the website and use the context of the website to interact with it, or even Further, there is a new protocol called WebMCP. This is the thing made by Google and Microsoft. They are creating a new standard that will redo the website at the point how the external systems can interact with your website. Not only scraping info from it, but like doing something, like booking something or something like that. This is the way where it all goes right now. So not to go deep into the roots in creating like a Claude Code or so on, I have made a list of like examples what we can build, what content creation, what content we can create. And I'm just typing like I make a page introducing our AI agents for marketing tips, show how Ruby is one of the Eugene's agents for content, and Corbin manages operation workflows with the real capabilities and results. So I'm sending out this task, and it's now pulling info from our database. It's now looking on the corresponding skills that we have made for this agent to know how to build the pages. It now trying to understand and comprehend where to put, where is the most appropriate place to put this page. It is using SEO skill that's like pulling the data from our semantic core with the keywords that we are like optimizing to. And it is like pulling the data from Ruby and Corbin, what he knows about these agents, to like synthesize and create this agent. It may take like, I don't know, maybe from 3 to 7, 8 minutes. I think that we can actually return to that and like look at the results at some point. Maybe not in the my part, but maybe in the end, I'll show it to you.
Add
Go on.
two things, Alexei. I think it's important for understanding. So what's happening here is that this agent that has been configured with all the different playbooks, it literally owns the repository with the website. So it controls every page. It does everything we tell it. So the idea was that we should be able to give it one command and get the pages updated if we need to. And that's exactly the way it is working and functioning for us. Just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Eugene. Yeah, and moving forward, so the real magic in here is, as Eugene said, that we have it online. And a lot of us, like I think that all of us have heard about this open clause, and it's actually the agentic systems, autonomous agentic systems revolution that's coming on right now. But what Trinity does, it does it for businesses with the business purposes and business things in mind to have it sovereign, to have it with a good governance, so we can see all the results and so on. So this is the main difference in here. Not the main, but one of the things. One additional thing is what it makes really autonomous is that we can create some schedules. And this is really easy to do. And for our case, is a thing that we have created our own SEO monitor. So it just pulls the data from Google Search Console, what pages are ranking better, what keywords works for us. And it's suggesting some items in the backlog that would be done. And we are like I'm just going to this backlog and applying some of the tasks that I wanted to apply on the website, just like having this as a human in the loop. But actually at some point could be fully autonomous, so it can make a decision how to optimize these results better. Second part is like the thing that it is making blog posts, and we have a great result with the blog posts. It is pulling data from the most relevant sources of the information, and it is like scheduled to create a blog post in here. And yeah, there is a lot of ideas what could be scheduled. We have updating dashboard in here, so on. So one of the next things I'm going to do is like create a conversion rate optimization metrics on the website to see how many people like interacting with the pages, to add A/B testing and so on. So there might be a lot of things. Yeah. One important thing I want to add, and sovereignty is one side of the coin, but nowadays we can make a software ourselves and within our team internally. And this is one of the ways to decrease costs for the software that we are using. A small example of it is we were using Typeform as a part of our funnel when we offering people to get a AI strategy report. And it took me around 30 or 40 minutes speaking with the agent to build something for ourselves to make this form that pops up that works on the cron as well. So it just when I come into the website, it pops up in the 5 seconds. So, and there is actually a lot of things that could be replaced and could be if you have a chat bot on the website or you have some additional metrics or trackings or something like that that you pay for, it could be all built, a lot of it could be already built by an champion in the team or the person who will be responsible for it for this part and managing the website at all. So yeah, let me see. Shall I commit and push? Commit and push. Okay. So now it finished to make this web page. It will commit and push, and I will show it to you. And this is one of the examples. So Eugene, maybe anything to add about the agent, website agent, or we can move forward.
No, I think it's a good one. Let's move to the outbound one, and
Yeah.
yeah, show it works.
Yeah. So if the website thing works for us as a representation point and the place where we can where we land the traffic and the people who are coming, so we are building other systems that are allowing us to increase amount of sales, amount of leads that are coming into the funnel, and so on. And outbound agent is one of the examples. And this is the system that we have built from scratch with the supporting our outbound email and LinkedIn outbound as a copilot. And at some point, we discovered that we have all elements in the systems to build it as an autonomous system as well. We can approach it as an AI SDR, and what it can do and what is connected to. So it is connected to, it can research and find the most appropriate leads based on what we have already built and what case studies we have. So it analyzes our knowledge base once again, and it looks at the ICP that we have, and it just uses Apollo as a source of the emails and the contact information and company information. Then it has LinkedIn access and links. It can go to the person and company LinkedIn and grab info from there to use it in personalization. It can go to the website and scrape the website to understand is it company relevant or not, and score it and filter out the companies that we are not likely gonna qualify because of the sizes or the topic that they're doing or something like that. And yeah, it can gather information from different sources and analyze it and so on. So this system is actually smart. And it's gathering this info. It's creating the CSV files in the format that we need, to put it in other places. But the real magic is happening when we are using the most actual and new knowledge, what is working in outbound, how should we should be reading, what is the most relevant signals about the particular profile. And then it writes a sequence of the emails and LinkedIn touch, and then it just pushes it into the system. So nowadays we're using two systems, Rocket SDR is one of them. We were testing it out. And the second is the Reply.io, we just whooshing it's there. And then we're just looking at the results and just pulling information back and doing some insights and knowledge, knowledge gathering, what worked for us the best. And it just getting into the way in the closed loop with reinforced learning. And yeah, it's also the way how it goes. And we also can have a lot of stuff that Eugene mentioned in the website. We don't have a dashboard in here, but all of other elements does work in here as well. And we can do scheduling the campaigns. We can ask it to create a, like, when the new solution or the new case study appears in our knowledge base, this agent could be triggered to test this new solution and to find the most appropriate ICP, gather this lead, score them, create a campaign, and set out this campaign. So it could be done like almost automatically, and we could have like human in the loop in the most like important steps to verify that it is not hallucinating a lot. Because like at some points in the most important parts, we need actually to make some checks. But it all depends on how many times you have implemented into the system at one hand. And on the other hand, it's all about the complexity. So last thing here, I want to share that we have this new web page. Yes, it is deployed. So I just copied the text in the document. This would be in a different way if we need to create a custom landing page for a particular customer or something like that. So it just pulled the info from Ruby and Corbin. We can read about them. It has the proper links in here. It just pulled the information about the Ruby, the content, what just changes, and just like analyzes before and after. Corbin as well, time saved, and so on. So, and in the end, it puts like the bookable Calendly that we have all over our website. So, yeah,
Cool.
that's it. That's how it works.
Thanks, Alexei. I hope that made sense for people. But it basically, yeah, I'm quite impressed with this agent myself, because it not just creates random disconnected landing pages. It follows our on-brand best practices, page formats, interconnects with the rest of the stuff. But we don't have much time left, and guys, I know that it's a bit over, but I wanted to show you Ruby quickly and also answer some questions. So you know what? I guess let's do the questions, and maybe then we will show some stuff as well, because we just don't have time. One thing that I wanted to mention before we jump there is, you remember this pyramid that I was showing you, where we have like a base layer with Trinity, and then it goes to agents and to orchestration and to playbooks as well. My perspective, the reason the agents that we've built, for example, for ourselves are so valuable for us and so much better than anything we can find on the market is exactly because, well, we iteratively spent a lot of time building them up. There's a lot of nuance that you need to take into account on how to work with agents. A lot of like things like, okay, this tool doesn't work this way, we need to change a different tool. So it isn't actually a proper development process for those agents, and they're gaining value that is very specific, very demonstratable, put it this way, once you apply this agent. It's just simply impossible to give a task to Claude Code and say, build me something like that. You can try, it will build something, but it actually took a lot of back and forth to get this stuff working properly. Yeah. So look, and I see the question here as well, and it's a good point to address that. Our whole business as a company, we're a solution provider. We work with mid-market and enterprise companies, quite large ones, and we come in and we help them change the business processes to use agents. And in the process, we're installing Trinity or other tools that might be necessary depending on the use case. So yes, we can of course help companies to build up this infrastructure and to set it up and to make it work. Uh, it's not a SaaS solution at this point, as I mentioned. It's a sovereign one, so it's not like you can jump in. What you can do, Trinity is open source actually, so you can go ahead and find that on GitHub, and you can use it for non-commercial purposes for free on your own servers. There's no problem with that. So you can play around and experiment and see what happens. So we got some questions. Alex is asking, thank you very much. The Outbound agent and AI SDR agent sounds really great, but I have a concern based on talks with my colleagues, whether it can really be effective in approaching the people, not just annoying them. Yeah, it's a good question. What's your observation using your AI SDR? Yeah, it's a great question. Look, that actually goes to what I was mentioning. There's a lot of people walking around saying that AI is shit, that ChatGPT is giving the wrong answers and that it's not working. Reality is that the agents and AI in general will be working as well as you prompted and as well as you designed. So yes, our campaigns are generating results, are bringing the real leads because we spend so much time iterating over what should be the tone of voice, what keywords they should be using and not using, and where we should get data for personalization of reach out to these people. However, granted, now a lot of people can do that. I'm not saying that this is in any way competitive advantage for us, and I'm getting frustrated with those AI reach outs myself. But that's the name of the game right now. Okay, I hope I answered that. But yes, there is a way to set it up in a way that it's less frustrating, more natural, and it actually works. It brings results. How do I decide how many skills to give an agent versus creating a new one? That's a great question. Somebody asked me that a couple of days ago, actually. My thinking behind that is as follows. I want them to close a particular area on their own. Like, for example, in the Ruby, the one that I was talking about, it's fully responsible for my entire content on the personal brand side, everything from post processing and repurposing YouTube videos and creating articles and working with Twitter. Now, when I add skills and I add playbooks to Ruby, actually doesn't, it's Ruby on the right hand side, it actually doesn't add complexity to the agent itself because the skills are packaged in a way that they're not taking much of the context space. So your Claude MD can still be manageable size and you can have hundreds of skills and you're going to be fine because they introduced this search functionality through skills. So it's more of a, it's not a limitation, it's a decision that you would need to make. And my way of making this decision is I want to have agents that are responsible for the entire kind of areas. Cool. Any more questions, folks? Oh yeah. Yeah. I want to show you a couple more while we may be waiting for some questions. So one that I like well is this competitor analyzer guy. This is a separate agent built specifically for that, and it's communicating with both Source of Truth and Cornelius. And basically, its main flow on schedule is to run a daily competitor analysis. And when the analysis is done, it is sending the information that was found about that into source of truth so that other agents can now know exactly how the competitors are behaving on the market and what's happening. And other couple of interesting use cases. Well, this guy, that's already just for fun, but this guy, Cornelius, it's a mold book agent that is running autonomously on this social network for agents. And it's actually not doing that bad. It's got 115 karma and commenting on something and running some. So it's run actually for 500 heartbeats already, 500 executions. There's no value in that for us as a company. It's just a fun little experiment. One more use case, and guys, please ask questions. Don't hesitate if you have any. There's no dumb question at all. The data room agent is interesting as well because this is where I packaged up all the fundraising information that is there about the company that I wanted to package up. And I sent to investors a public link to this agent, which is available right here. So they can enter their credentials, confirm with the code from an email that this is them, and talk to an agent that is in context of our fundraising. This one is limited to where it can go and what it can do. Obviously, I don't want it to be interacting with other agents. And in general, it's running in the read-only mode. Can we share the Trinity link to GitHub? Yes, of course, we will share Trinity on GitHub and you can take it from the follow-up link or just go to Ability AI/Trinity. That's the repo. Actually, we'll just send it to the chat. Right. How many agents do you think we need before using something like Trinity? That's a good question. I think it's not about the number of agents. I think it's about the kind of workflow you want to run. Because I would need Trinity once I have two agents where one of them is a source of truth, is a knowledge base, and the other one is doing some operation, like doing content. And once you want to combine those two and make them work together, it's a good idea to put them out there rather than run it on your local machine. Yeah, I guess that's the answer, but I don't have a better one so far. Boom, boom. All right, guys. I think we're on the top of the hour, and I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And please join further. We're going to be talking a lot more about this automation because this thing is changing literally every day for us and improving every day. And to be honest, I couldn't hope that we would be running that autonomous load ourselves so quickly. Yeah, when we work with large companies, sorry, that's last question I saw. Look, my point with Ability, we use technology that fits the best. If there's a technology, for example, in many instances, we're using NA10, which is not our tool. but it's a decent tool for some use cases. So we're not pushing Trinity as the platform that will save everybody. This is a tool for just running the infrastructure. So yeah, it depends on your use case. If you come over, we talk, we will be able to give you a straight answer in terms of what should be the strategy for agentic adoption. All right, thank you everybody. It was a pleasure, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.